Been a major development in Victoria's fatal mushroom poisoning case. The woman who prepared the deadly lunch has been arrested.
After being quizzed by homicide detectives, Erin Patterson has been charged with 3 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder.
Y'all, it's been like the week of mushroom cases on my channel at least. And finally, in this one, the victims are hopefully going to see justice because Erin Patterson has finally been charged, and we're going to talk about it today. Y'all, the new Scentbird collection just arrived in my mailbox. They are amazing, and we're going to talk about them. Okay, so what is Scentbird? Well, it's a fragrance subscription. It lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month. The best part is, it's just $17. You don't have to invest your life savings on designer fragrances trying to find your scent. Scentbird offers affordable and flexible subscription plans. Look, you can skip or cancel your subscription at any time. It's totally hassle-free. One of my favorite parts, no surprises. Every month you pick what you want to receive. So with the fragrances, you get a 30-day supply, and y'all, it's a generous amount that they give you, okay? This lets you sit here and try these fragrances out, and then when you find the ones that you really like, you can invest in that bigger bottle if you want to. So the moment that I knew I found like my scent, my fragrance that just meshed well with me, is when I got a phone call after running into an ex, and they called me up to ask me what the name of the cologne that I was wearing because they had forgotten to when they saw me. Hello? Hey. No, you're not bothering me. I'm just working. It was good seeing you too. Oh, what cologne was I wearing? Well, it's funny you ask. Hold on one second. The name of it is It's Too Exclusive and Expensive for You. I'm just joking. I've always wanted to have that moment. No, I'm just kidding. That's not really how the phone call went. But they called me up and they were like, hey, this smells really good. And so having like an ex, you know what I mean, give you that compliment or whatever, I don't know, it's just really nice to me. And that cologne I always have kept on hand. Now it's outdated. This was years ago. But that's one thing that I love with Scentbird is how you can go through their collection every month, try new stuff, and find that fragrance that everybody's like, that's yours, you want it, here's the deed to it. Now let's talk about actually some of these new fragrances because I love them. So Handsome Devil is an amazing one. It has hints of red grapefruit, red saffron, amber, and in the back it says, finely curated for the handsome charmer. Thank you. The top tier bloke with good looks and a penchant for danger, whether he finds it or it finds him. Energizing blend of spice and citrus are grounded with savory notes of coffee, berry, and redwood to produce a scent both warm and mischievous. Exudes attainable luxury, persuasion, sophistication. Damn it, smells so good. And I agree with them. I love this. The citrusy smell to it, it's amazing. My favorite one in this collection by far is Awaken. Oh my God. So sexy. Now this one says, highlighting the core ingredients of Tumi's best-selling fragrance, Awaken. Bold, ardent blends are overdosed to create the ultimate contrast, pushing the boundaries of performance for an ultra-long-lasting, powerful fragrance. Black lavender, bergamot, clary sage, coriander, cypress. This one has like that kind of dark, evening time type situation, but I'm wearing it to work this morning. Last but certainly not least is Arabesque. This one has like a nice floral scent to it. Saffron, musk, patchouli, rose. You can get the vibe of this one. To me, this is another like good evening time or late afternoon type of vibe. So one thing that I love about the packaging is just how easy it is. You see the little thing here? You just simply turn it to lock it, doesn't go down, and then this way, it's something that I use every single day and like to have on hand, and I don't feel like it's gonna leak in my bag or do anything like that. And now also, when you get these, they kind of just pop off together, and there's like, you know, does like that. And then here is your packaging with the cologne or perfume, whatever you got. See how much is in there? Y'all, they say it's a 30-day supply, but y'all, they're hooking you up. Now, another thing that I do is I just trade out the scent that I want to match the vibe of the container. That might be a little bit extra, but it's what I do. So whether it's like I'm wanting a fall vibe where I'm out in the go, maybe running to the brewery, or getting dressed up for like a more nice night out on the town, Scentbird always has me covered every month, no matter what the vibe is. So use my code MySofa to get 55% off at Scentbird. Y'all, it equals out to like a little over $7 for your first month, and it's available in the USA and Canada. So you literally have nothing to lose. Give it a shot. Again, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Scentbird for helping make this video possible. Check them out. All their links are in the description below. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. The sofa's back there. Roscoe's sleeping, though he was cleaning a minute ago. He'll probably do it again when things get serious. And my name's Paul, if you are new here. Now, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about another mushroom case. I know. Hopefully there will not be more mushroom headlines. I don't really know what to say about that, but it is what it is. But this is the case that stems from Australia. This involves Erin Patterson as well as her former in-laws, her estranged husband or ex-husband. And she had cooked a beef Wellington meal and allegedly, but now she has been charged with it. Let's say she's saying that she unknowingly put death cap mushrooms in it. It killed 3 of her guests. 1 survived. Her husband had dipped out at the last minute, so he was lucky enough, and that probably saved his life. Well, this has gone on for months. They've been investigating, and finally they have brought charges against her. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about all the updates with it. We'll be doing that by looking at different articles as well as video clips. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Chrissy. She is our Sofa Squad from Down Under correspondent, and so she has been keeping me up to date as well as many other Sofa Squad members with this, and I greatly appreciate it. And so it's just really helped this come together and get all the information and whatnot. So thank you very much. So what we'll do is we'll begin with one of the articles. We'll put it up on the screen and we're going to talk about it. And then of course at the end of the video, well, I'll share more of my opinions on it. Okay, so in this first article we're looking at, the headline reads, Homicide Detectives Arrest Mushroom Cook Erin Patterson Over Fatal Lunch. This is by Chris Vedalago, Marta Pascual, Wanala, and Alex Crow. This was published on November 2nd. Let's move on to that second screen. And it just says here, first of all, I want to list off the names of the victims so we can all be on the same page with this. So we have Heather Wilkinson, 66, Gail Patterson, 70, and Dom Patterson, 70. They all died in the hospital days after the July 19th lunch. That's when it happened, where the beef Wellington was served. Ian Wilkinson, 68, was released from Alston Hospital after 7 weeks of treatment. We're going to talk about him in a little bit because he is like key to bringing justice to all parties involved. Let's go into that next screen. Now this is just going to talk about some of the charges that she has now. It says 4 of the attempted murder charges relate to her estranged husband Simon Patterson, including 3 alleged incidents where he fell ill before the deadly beef Wellington lunch, which he did not attend. Simon is understood to be doing okay in the wake of Erin's charges and is focused on his kids' well-being, friends told the Herald Sun. So remember, she had a husband who fell ill couple of years ago, whatever, something very similar, and she has been charged with that. So when this came out and it was like, oh, she did these murders, and then it was like her husband had talked about, well, I got sick a couple of years ago, and you're like, what has this woman been up to? So they clearly have found evidence enough to bring these charges against her. It must be devastating for Simon. It must be absolutely devastating for their children. Now let's go on to one of the clips.
The murder charges and 2 attempted murder charges relate to an incident on July 29 where 4 people were taken to hospital after they fell ill following a meal at Erin Patterson's home in Leongatha. Police say the further 3 attempted murder charges relate to 3 separate incidents in Victoria between 2021 and 2022. It's alleged a 48-year-old Korumburra man became ill following meals on these dates. It's a huge development.
So as you see, that's kind of a little summation of what we just discussed. Now in this also, you were able to see her home. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, about how she got the means to build the house and all that type of stuff. But you heard, the charges are there. You saw them going and searching through the house and whatnot. So, I mean, this was major, okay? Let's go on to another article now. Now, here what we're going to do is we're going to discuss who is Erin, okay? And that is the name of the article, almost, kind of, sort of. It says 5 things we know about the alleged mushroom cook secret of Erin Patterson. This is by Mandy Squires. It says former friends of Erin Patterson say she led a secretive life and was a true crime fan. But what else do we know about the woman now charged with murder? Let's go ahead and dive in. So exactly who is Erin?
I'm devastated. I love them. And I can't believe that this has happened.
Well, she's a bad actress for one. I'm just joking. We're going to wait to see what the evidence says as to whether she's a bad actress or a truly sympathetic, beef Wellington cook. Let's go on and find out those 5 things now. So number 1, a mother. Erin Patterson, 48, has 2 children. Number 2, split from a husband. She was no longer living with her ex-husband, Simon Patterson, who they have the charges against, or not him, but her. Ex-newsletter editor. Miss Patterson took over a local newsletter from her now dead former in-laws Don and Gail Patterson in 2018, editing the Borough Flyer newsletter until 2020. Remember, this is the one that she made some comments and text messages about how annoying it was to edit after people. I mean, I get that, right? The 2019 September-November edition of the newsletter included details of a local workshop teaching people in the community how to grow their own mushrooms. In the Cronborough workshop, people would be taught how to grow gourmet mushrooms at home using easy-to-source materials and low-tech methods. It's spirit. That's not a word I'm familiar with, but we'll just keep on going. Now remember, she was a forager. She would say that her and her husband at the time, Simon, they would forage mushrooms, things like this. So that's why when she came up with the story that she accidentally cooked these mushrooms in there and she had bought them at some random, Asian market, she couldn't really remember which one. It was like, well, aren't you like seasoned at this and know what you're doing? And these death caps are so, almost like widely known, like you do not eat these, like everybody knows, they will kill you, one little bit of it. So that's one of the first red flags. It was like, this isn't adding up. Now, number 4 moves on to, she's a true crime fan. It says friends and acquaintances of Erin Patterson say they have discovered a lot of her life was very secretive and have revealed she was a fan of the true crime genre. It came as new photos recently emerged in a Facebook group of a younger Miss Patterson, which appeared to have been taken more than a decade ago. We thought we knew her deeply, but we are now discovering that a lot of her life was very secretive, the ex-friend wrote in a Facebook group. They claim that Miss Patterson was a true crime fan and Lego obsessed. A few of us were close friends for a few years in the crime group. Now, oftentimes when we see these cases where the people, consume true crime content and whatnot, we always are asking, well, why didn't they know to do this or do that or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And oftentimes I think regardless of how versed they are with the genre, people just aren't thinking when they get to the point of being willing to take somebody else's life. Now, of course, this is alleged. She has not had her day in court yet. Let's go on to that last thing. Now, she's also a property owner. It's been reported that Miss Patterson currently owns 2 properties, a townhouse in Mont Waverly and a 2-story home in Leongatha, where she allegedly cooked the fatal mushrooms on July 29th. She also once owned an oceanfront property in Eden at New South Wales. She inherited the home from her parents, Ethan and Heather Scudder, following their deaths, but it sold in 2019 for $900,000. Former neighbors of Miss Patterson's parents told the Herald Sun the couple had retired to the remote seaside getaway and spent their last years there before their deaths. Now, what we're going to do now is just look at a quick little timeline of the events, and you'll see it on the screen here, and this will just kind of give everybody a little overview of what's taken place. It says how the fatal mushroom saga unfolded. Erin Patterson cooked a beef Wellington lunch at which other guests also brought dishes. This is July 29th. Her 2 children went to the movies. This is the other red flag here. I mean, thank God they did, obviously. The 4 guests and Patterson each ate some of the beef Wellington at lunch. July 30th, Patterson says her children ate the leftover beef Wellington, but they scraped the mushrooms off because they don't like them. She went to the Leongatha hospital with stomach pain and diarrhea. Her guest also went to the hospital with suspected gastro. Now remember, if you don't remember, but when this all went down and she was like, oh, my kids have the leftovers. And if you're familiar with beef Wellington, a lot of people point this out to me in one of my earlier videos where it's like, this isn't really a dish that you scrape the mushrooms off of. So it seems as if she probably made multiple dishes, right? She probably thought through enough on that of like, I'll make a few different dishes. And she probably gave herself something to make herself go to the hospital, but clearly it was nothing in the realm of what her guests were going to experience. Okay, so July 31st, Patterson was transported from Leongatha Hospital to the Monash Medical Center where she was treated with a liver drug. August 4th, Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson die in hospital. Police find Erin Patterson's food dehydrator at a local tip. Remember, she lied about this. She threw it out, but she lied about it. August 5th, Don Patterson dies in hospital. Homicide detectives search Erin Patterson's home. August 9th, police returned to the tip to ask for CCTV footage and door-knocked neighbors near Erin Patterson's house. August 14th, it's revealed that Erin Patterson has supplied investigators with a detailed statement about the July 29th meal, earlier offering a no-comment reply to their questions. November 2nd, Victoria police arrest Erin Patterson and take her to the Wonthaggi police station for questioning. I'm probably destroying that name. I apologize.
Now let's move on to that statement I was talking about earlier where she was trying to play it off and about the lies she told. And let's look at this other clip from another article. And it says Miss Patterson said she made the killer lunch with a mixture of button mushrooms from a major supermarket chain and dried mushrooms from an Asian grocery store in Melbourne. In her statement to police, which was leaked to the media, she said that she portioned the meal onto plates and let her guests pick their own. A dehydrator was later dumped at a local tip over her concern that her estranged husband would blame her for her parents' death and gain custody of the 2 children, she said. So here you go. So there's the whole lie, throwing the dehydrator out, doing the plates and whatnot. I think a lot is going to lie on what Ian has to say because clearly he survived, thank God. And if he's able to say, yes, she, had these plates and it was like, we could all pick from these, but then she got hers from the kitchen. You see where I'm going with that? She had to have played it off somehow like this. There had to have been like 2 different versions of this meal cooked or something. And what we're going to do now is get into the arrest and whatnot. So let's look at an article. It says Erin Patterson arrested over fatal mushroom lunch that killed 3 in Gippsland, Victoria. This is by Kevin Ayres and Wayne Flowers for the Daily Mail of Australia. Let's go into this other little clip here. So it says a specialist team of investigators is now currently searching Miss Patterson's home where the fatal family lunch took place on July 29th. Forensic experts have been spotted rifling through a crowded garage attached to the home, combing through the interior of a red MG ZS SUV in the property's driveway. Detectives also brought in specially trained technology detector dogs that can sniff out USB memory keys and SIM cards to help scour the property. Let's go on to the next page. It says the technology detection dogs have been supplied by Australian Federal Police, who say they can find memories, storage devices such as USBs, hard drives, mobile phones, storage devices, and SIM cards. They're the most elite of all sniffer dogs and capable of sensing the microns-thin coating that protects computer circuit boards. That's so interesting. Roscoe, you looking for part-time work? You want to work on the weekends maybe with them? I don't think he's interested. It would be neat if he did, though. Let's keep going. Their noses are so sensitive they can track down tiny SIM or memory cards buried in walls or even hidden in fruit. The dogs have been exploring various locations around her home with a sofa on a rear deck of the home closely inspected. Her car is also given a thorough search several times. So this is interesting that they're very focused in on this. We're going to go over some of the leaked text messages and whatnot that she had. Now I want to look at this part of an article because this is what I was talking about earlier with Ian. So we'll put it up on the screen here. It says her arrest comes after Pastor Wilkinson was said to be helping homicide detectives with the investigation following his release from hospital on September 23rd. I'm telling you, this man held the key to everything. If he had not lived, I wonder if they would be able to bring charges because it's like, what happened at this dinner? The one thing that she did well, and I'm not like complimenting her, but I'm just looking at the game that she tried to pull, allegedly, is having the kids go away and that her husband didn't show up, because like say he survived or whatever, or he caught on to her weird behavior or something like that, if that's what really happened. She probably wasn't banking on these people surviving if this is proven that she was intentionally trying to do this. So someone being able to live and come back and be like, yeah, she was real angry acting and had a few different dishes and got hers from here. You see where I'm going with this? So clearly this man has the info and it does not make her actions look good. Now, as I mentioned before, let's talk about some of those text messages, and we'll do that by looking at an article and some screenshots. It says Erin Patterson's text leak, mushroom chef's messages about her inheritance and buying house where she cooked deadly lunch as estranged husband's reaction to her being charged with murder is revealed. This is by Candace Sutton for the Daily Mail Australia. Let's go into this little thing here that kind of gives us a little overview. It says text messages sent by Erin Patterson to a friend have been leaked after the Leongatha mushroom chef was charged with 3 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted. The text exchanges with another woman reveal details of Miss Patterson's clearing out her late mother's home in 2019 and using that money to buy the property where she had this mushroom lunch at. Now let's go ahead and look at those screenshots. I got it for $260. Yeah, going to build on it ASAP. It's amazing. Really close to town where my kids will go to school, but still feels like a bush block. All my life I've wanted to live in the forest, and this feels like living in the forest. There are even a couple of koalas in those trees. That would be so weird to see like a koala like I see a deer here, Anyways, that's so awesome. Happy for you. I used to always want to live in the forest too. Now I'm a bit wussy about wildlife, but no, I do love it. Now these are just some pictures of her car from clearing out books and whatnot. And she says top photo at the start, then bottom photo a few hours later, nearly finished. And then she says, so do you own where you live now or renting? Rent. It's been a dream to build all my life, and I can only do it thanks to my mom's house selling. Silver lining to her passing. Definitely, that's so great. I mean, obviously not that your mom passed, but I reckon you particularly deserve it from some of the family stories you've told. So exciting, I'd love to build a new house. I've got a notebook full of sketches of house layouts I've been drawing for years. Houses are so damn expensive these days. A basic house in a decent suburb of Melbourne is $800 to $1 million. Who can afford that? I know it's insane. When I was younger, $1 million was rich. Now most people's mortgages are for that much. I'm impressed by her quick decisiveness. I probably would have thought about buying a block for at least several months. I have been eyeing off that block for months. I have inspected it 15 times. What pushed me over the line was Blank finally paying a deposit on Mom's house. I've been waiting for him to make up his mind and commit, and he finally did. Now this just goes on to show like a quick picture of where it was. I mean, this is literally the forest, right? She says, I bought this today, literally so excited I can't breathe. Oh my god, wow, so beautiful, how exciting. Has your new property been handed over to you yet? Have you rolled around in it every day? Nah, have to wait another 30 days for settlement, then I can roll around. Thinking about getting a goat or two to keep the weeds down until building starts. So clearly she was very excited about this. Now I questioned at this point, I was like, do we need to check on what really happened to Mom and Dad over there? I'm just saying, you know, there was nothing over the top in here. I mean, clearly she's excited about this, you know, but she expresses some remorse about her parents dying, but we don't get into that too much. You know, she does say that, oh, silver linings and all that type thing. I mean, clearly she inherited a lot of money. I mean, the house sold for what, $900,000? I mean, you know, they're talking about people, you know, oh, houses are this expensive, which it is, but it's like, well, girl, you just got $900,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, you clearly had a pretty nice life growing up, probably, at least financially. That doesn't mean that her personal life could have been good, but it sounds like financially they weren't going hungry, right? Now let's move on and watch some clips. And those clips are going to be specifically about the police chief. He's going to be talking, just saying a couple of things very quickly.
Today's arrest is just the next step in what has been a complex and thorough investigation by Homicide Squad detectives, and one that is not yet over. I cannot think of another investigation that has generated this level of media and public interest, not only here in Victoria, but also nationally.
Now he brings up a good point. He'll say in his things, you know, there's people, these are real people involved, as all these cases are. Now, one thing, and this is a question for our Down Under Sofa Squad, when he makes this mention, like, I can't think of another case that's drawn this kind of attention and whatnot, you know, when he's saying that, I guess my question is, you know, is true crime similar to how it is here in the States or other places where people are very curious to see how the legal system works, how the cases play out, you know, and so yes, I know that it's not too often where a case, at least over here in the States, is like, what, what's going on in Australia? You know, and probably the same for over there when stuff happens over here. So, you know, but the way he talked, it was just almost like this unheard of thing. Now, it does sound like this is a very small area where they live in, so maybe specifically to that, where it's like, whoa, we didn't, you know, expect this to pop off like that. But I'm just curious to hear from you on the comment section, especially those who live there or have been there or whatever, they're familiar with it more than somebody like me who's never been. You know, how does that play out? Is this truly that rare for over there? Is true crime or crime cases just not something that's paid attention to as much as it is elsewhere in the world? Now let's go on and move on to another clip.
She has, Davina. It was only a brief hearing here at the Latrobe Valley Magistrates Court. Erin Patterson sat in the dock. She was calm. She stared blankly ahead. She was flanked by 2 prison guards as well. The main point to come out of today's hearing is that police have requested a 20-week adjournment, they say, because they need to go through the amount of computer evidence that was seized from Erin Patterson's home yesterday.
So you hear she went to court. It was very quick. It was very simple. Let's continue on to see what's going to come of this.
Surprisingly, there were also 3 other attempted murder charges laid against Erin Patterson. Police will allege that she actually tried to poison her husband, her former husband, 3 times in 2021 and 2022.
Now I wanted to show that up there just again to reiterate these charges against, you know, or not against her husband, but against her for what she allegedly attempted to do. And you saw Simon, that was him in the truck and moving around and whatnot. Let's just look at a couple more clips before we talk about things.
How's your client doing in custody?
She's good, thanks. I've just got to get through.
Will she be fighting these charges, Mr. Dew?
It's early days and we haven't received a brief.
Now, that was her attorney that we heard them speaking of. What's interesting, too, for me from, just being here in America is seeing like, wow, they're just as aggressive over there, the media, with getting to the attorney and whatnot. But you heard them, it's early days, like basically same thing we see over here. It's like, look, we just got in there, right? Give us a minute to breathe here.
Now, Erin Patterson couldn't make a bail application today, Davina, because you can only do that in Victoria in the Supreme Court if you've been charged with murder. So she's been remanded in custody. We'll see her in court in May next year.
Now, I found this part to be interesting just from hearing of, how the legal system works in somewhere else, right? And that would be, she can't do the bail thing unless you're in Supreme Court, however she said it, which to me is similar over here where it's like, yeah, you're on some big charge, you ain't getting bail. You're going to stay where you're at. Which to me also denotes, these are very serious charges that she has against her, right? Now, you also heard May, so we're talking, what is this month? This is the beginning of November, so November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So, this is a minute, right? Her life has completely changed, as it did for the victims. Imagine going over to someone's house and eating lunch, and I'm almost looking at it from Ian's perspective, the survivor. You get sick as a dog, you're in hospital for what? 2 months, you come out of it, your wife is dead, your other 2 family members are dead, the world is watching headlines with you in them, like, shocked that you lived, investigators are getting you to help. And this is, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but this gentleman is, an older gentleman. And so what I mean by that is, this is what he's dealing with at this stage in life. Losing your spouse to something like this as opposed to it's a natural cause, right? The way it should be, right? It's traumatic enough to lose your lifelong partner that way, regardless. But then when it comes into something like this stuff he's probably going through, drinketh from the cuppeth, and will cheers it to Erin and her alleged activities on that, okay? That's just the part that's disgusting, and the fact that if she did indeed do this, that she thought she could get away with it. Now, also, at the center of this, besides like the victims who clearly lost their lives, are her children, right? She has 2 kids. Imagine now from their perspective of, the place that it puts them. They're with her father, who, if you remember, the father made a comment to her talking about, oh, that's how you kill my parents. So very early in on this, he was like, you killed my parents, right? This was not an accident. And I'm only saying that because it makes you wonder what he's telling the children. Because if the children have been pivoted in the spot of, if we believe mom, we then have to begin the part of accepting that our mom is a murderer. Killed our grandparents, and you know what I'm saying? That's major. If they don't, then they don't, and whatever, it's their right, you know what I'm saying? But then you have to wonder, well, what's Simon telling them? Because if he's of the belief of, yeah, she did this, he's going to be going more towards that level of things, that immediate, like, there is not a question. But again, I don't know, and it's none of my business. It's just something to ponder on. I hope they all make it through, however, they can, to begin a healing process, but I think that will take a long time. And how do you heal from something like this? Again, it's a very small area, it sounds like, that they're in, and so this is huge, right? This is insane, the level of attention this has gotten and the tragedy of it. You just don't often hear about stuff like this, of somebody wiping out and not her family, but their family, her extended family. And remember, she wanted Simon there. He backed out at the last minute. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if she had killed him too? And maybe it was a custody thing. I don't know. But I'm glad that they have charges. I'm very curious to see their evidence. I'm guessing there's a lot they're going to be going through, search records or, like Google searches, basically, for lack of a better term. Because I'm guessing she had to have done research on how to do this, right? That would be the only thing. So, anyways, once again, thank you to our Sofa correspondent, Chrissy, and others who have been sending me articles and keeping me up to date on this. I greatly appreciate it, because it's the time zone the way it is like, when this happens, it's, we're a day ahead or something like that. I don't know what it is. But thank you is what I'm getting at. So let me know what you think down in the comment sections. First of all, obviously if you're down there, let me know some little nuggets. Like, what is the true crime down there? Do people pay attention to court cases and crime headlines and stuff like that, like they do here in the States, or is it not a thing? If I'm correct, and I remember somebody saying they don't televise any kind of court processes down there, so maybe it's a little bit more behind closed doors? I don't know, but let me know. Then let me know. I mean, do you think she did it? That's the $1 million question now. Do we think she's guilty of this? What kind of evidence is there? And, and again, we're just pondering at this point. What do we think Ian said? I'm going with she made multiple dishes, or she did them in such a way of, y'all can pick your plates from this table. I'm going to go over here and get mine. That type vibe, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, that's it. Mr. Roscoe says he's not going to be taking up a part-time job with the police dog stuff, but he does ask you to drop some sofas in the comment section so he can go down there and sleep instead of back here. And until we meet on the sofa to pet Roscoe while he sleeps and talk about Erin and her mushrooms, we'll see y'all soon.